Loraine, and thank you very much for sharing this time with us today. Just as a bit of an introduction, I'd like to just introduce myself, and then it'd be great to hear from you yourself as well. So I'm Simon Etherington. I'm the Chief Strategist and Implementer at the GC Index, and I'm responsible for how we look at our strategy and go to market with the GC Index, with an aim to make it a global brand. So I really welcome your time here today. If you could introduce yourself, that would be brilliant.
Thank you, Simon. I'm Loraine Martins. I am the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Network Rail.
Yeah.
I've been working at Network Rail for 7 years, and I'm really responsible for our strategic approach to diversity and inclusion, which ranges from anything from recruitment to procurement to our built environment. So it's a nice broad portfolio.
And it is, and it sounds like a huge responsibility as well in a large company like Network Rail.
Yes, well, we're the fastest growing railway in Europe, also the safest, but we're not complacent about that.
Yeah.
And we've got something like 40,000 employees and 110,000 contractors that are all helping us to deliver a better railway.
Oh, that's fantastic. So to start with, I mean, thank you very much for taking the GC Index, and I hope you found it something that was enjoyable. If you could talk a little bit about what your profile is and your talk about that as how it's impacted on you, that'd be fantastic.
So I'm a strategist, and I have a vision of the things that I want to achieve, and I'm very driven to make that vision a reality. So I think big picture. I like to create the pictures for others, and I'm open to ideas from others. I don't think I'm fixed, but I'm really all about the vision and the direction of travel, and helping people to join me on that journey and develop their skills.
That's fantastic. And obviously you've had a hugely successful career and done lots of different things as well. Could you describe a little bit about how that profile, that proclivity, your GC Index profile has helped you in that success as well?
So I think the environments that have made me most successful is where I've had the opportunity to create the vision and set out the strategy. And so there have been 3 major instances of that. The first one was when I worked for an organisation called the Audit Commission, where I developed a strategy, and that would have been in the early 2000s. And it was really about how the public sector would respond to new legislation around race equality and disability. And so it was really good for me because it played to my strengths about thinking, well, actually, this is a great way of getting to the future and painting out that vision for an organisation that had to work with other organisations to deliver diversity and inclusion. Then the second opportunity was working on the construction of the Olympic Park. So for me, that was an amazing opportunity, a massive regeneration project, with an aim to make sure that there's a great legacy for the people that lived in the East End of London, as well as a sporting legacy. So that fired me up and enabled me then to underpin that vision with thinking about, well, how would we make sure that the people who were involved in it were more diverse, more inclusive, how would we build their skills? And then my third opportunity has been here at Network Rail, where we are trying to make our organisation more inclusive, more diverse and more open, because we face a skill shortage. We're an ageing population. So how can diversity and inclusion help to address those challenges, but also prepare us for what we need to do in the future? So those are opportunities that have given me kind of license to use my imagination to think about the organisation I'm working with and what that might be in the future.
Which is amazing. And in your profile, you're a strategist implementer as well, so it's not just the way of looking at the models, the plans, the strategies and how you're going to do it, but it's also a very big focus on making it happen as well.
So I think for diversity and inclusion, it's one of those things that can sometimes feel a little bit amorphous and intangible for people. So I've really worked hard to have a kind of programme of activities that people can see happening, and therefore they're able to contribute to that in very tangible and palpable ways. So having that vision backed up with knowing how we can make an impact has been really great for me.
That's fantastic. That's great. And again, during your course of your career, obviously you're a strategist implementer, but what other things have you had to develop in yourself as well to support that success?
I've had to develop a bit of resilience around patience, being pragmatic. So I think in my early days of thinking about how you change organisations. I think I was a little bit naive and anticipated that everybody would want to go on my journey and want to do what I felt was the right thing. So I've really learned to bring people along with me, to be patient, to allow people to contribute to the ideas. It's not a natural thing for me because I've got very clear.
Well, you know it, don't you? You know this is what we're doing.
Absolutely, I know what we're doing and I know why we're doing it, and I can see the future. So I've learned to give others space to do that and to contribute, and also to own the direction of travel. So that's been really good for me because it's meant that I've been able to learn from others in ways that strategists sometimes may not want to.
That is brilliant. And we tend to find as well that people in their careers, they have certain roles where they're so attuned to their proclivity and what they do that it's like they felt alive. It's the best in the roles. What is there a role that you can think of in your career that is where you've been most in tune with your natural proclivities?
So I've been very fortunate, Simon. I think that most of my roles have played to my strengths really, and I think I've augmented my strengths as I've grown in experience. I think that because at the core of what I do, it's very values driven. I tend to put myself in places where I can live out those values. So it's been very rare where I've had not felt at one with the organisation or what I'm doing. And I'm particularly careful about that because I think I understand how I am and what gets the best out of me. So I've been fortunate. In my early career, I did lots of interactions with the public. I worked in the social services. I worked in the voluntary sector. But I was always thinking about, well, how could we do these things differently? How could we do them better? And so, in a sense, the position I'm in now is based on having built up a kind of understanding of the things that will get the best out of me and trying to put myself in those positions.
And I suspect as well, though, in your earlier career, though, you may have been a little bit frustrated because you had a fixed idea about how things could be better, and you might not be able to influence it at that level.
And also I wouldn't have had the skills and way of articulating it. So as a young graduate, you come into an environment and you immediately know what should be done and how it should, but you don't have the nuances or the sophistication to communicate, nor do you have the power or the influence or the authority. So I quickly learned that I didn't need to be in those positions. I started off as a clerk in a chest clinic, and I know immediately that I upset the PA to the consultant because I saw how this role could be done better. I identified some ways, and once I'd set that up, I was then twiddling my thumbs. So it was a bit of an irritation, both for me as a frustration and for her, because who's this person coming in? They think they know everything and they don't know anything. So, as I was growing up, I kind of understood that. And I think I've always had leadership skills. So I don't take instructions very well. I take requests very well, but being told what to do is a challenge for me. So I've always thought, well, I need to put myself in a position where people ask and negotiate and work with me rather than, to kind of tell me what to do.
And we often find that, I mean, in most careers, you'll start out and you'll have learned experience as well that really support and enhance and support the proclivities as well, which is absolutely. So, I guess finally then, everyone's success in their careers is not always about them. Who are the people that you tend to work best with? What kind of proclivities do you think that really match with you and support you? So,
I do like people who think slightly differently to me, because I find that quite stimulating. I think that I am really open to others who might want to test the system a little bit. So whilst I can give you the big vision and give you the canvas and get you to paint the pictures, I'm also open for people saying, well, have you tried this colour? Have you, to use that metaphor. So I'm really open to people who've got some other ideas. In fact, that's quite stimulating. I don't mind people who are slightly edgy, if that makes sense, so that they really want to be quite radical and push the boundaries. It takes me a little while to process their ideas. But I'll go for it. Once I can frame it, I'm absolutely up for that, because I think, again, that's quite stimulating. And I like change. So it's about how you manage the pace of change and how you communicate the vision, and I think that I'm really good at kind of translating
Yeah.
some of those ideas and maybe giving a bit of pragmatism to them. So as radical as people might be, I might say, well, actually, we might need to just manage it in a slightly different way in order to get to the same end. So I think people who are open and creative will work well with me, and I find very, very stimulating.
Yeah.
I also do like people who are very, very pragmatic, because sometimes I can be at the nth degree, and so just being pulled back a little bit is always helpful.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, look, really enjoyed speaking with you today, and thank you very much. And it's so fantastic to hear about your successful career and how you've used the G-Central proclivity in your career. So really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Simon.
You're welcome.